Stand by. Is this thing on?
Yes, Dan.
Oh, hello.
You're listening to Old News with Dan and Carrie.
This just in.
Breaking news to report.
We are live.
Old newscasters
Can we just say former?
Sure. Former newscasters reunite behind the mic after more than 20 years.
Old news is good news.
Stay tuned.
Today's guest has led a very interesting life. Her career path is unlike any other guest that we've had on Old News. Dan and I worked with Shannon in the late 1990s, early 2000s when she was Shannon Payette, reporter, anchor, and producer at the ABC affiliate in Madison, Wisconsin. Today, Shannon goes by her married name, Shannon Seip, and is perhaps best known as the co-founder and co-CEO of the hip and healthy family restaurant chain, Bean Sprouts. In her downtime, you can often find Shannon on stage performing in the theater community. Shannon, welcome to Old News.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here with you two. I feel like it was
Delighted to
just
have you.
yesterday when we were walking in the newsroom and like, hey, and you're leaving and I'm getting there.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty
Two
much
shifts
that's how it
in
all
the
works.
Yeah. Well,
Great
thank
to
you
see
for
you,
being
Shannon.
here.
You too.
Yeah. You have
I'm
had
saying I've seen
such
Dan around
success.
town.
Yeah,
know?
well, and we're going to get to your
Yeah.
theater, Dan's theater, and you guys do a lot in the Madison community with that. And I'm glad
Mhm.
you both kept that up after the
Yeah.
years because, that's really important and brings so much joy to yourselves and others. But let's go
Well, mostly
way
us.
back.
Mostly ourselves, yeah.
Let's go back because you're originally from California, right, Shannon?
I am. I'm from Northern California, and then I went to UCLA for college, and then I moved to Madison for grad school for broadcast.
That's what I was
Mhm.
thinking. So was
Yep.
WKOW, was that your first station job?
Well, kind of. I had worked at the news radio station. I had interned at every station in town. And then I also worked at the PBS station on a national program that they were doing during the election
Oh.
time or getting ready for election. So, but the WKOW then was my first, like, for real job.
Ooh,
Full
A real
time.
job.
Yeah.
yeah. And you did a little bit of everything, if I recall.
I did. I started off as a weekend producer, and then just kept pushing my way with our news director, like, "Hey, I can fill in. I can fill in. I could do this. I could do this." So started filling in as a reporter, and then I heard your episode with Rena. So then Rena and I helped launch the weekends at Fox, our Fox affiliate. And we all shared the newsroom, and then ended up when you two left working the morning show, which I loved. I loved the morning show.
Other
Yeah, the morning show was like we always say the island of misfit toys. You know, you're on your own. You could do whatever you wanted. Well,
Totally.
to an extent.
yeah.
But I just
Yeah.
loved it. I thought it was for my personality type, I felt freer to be more like myself, and just have longer conversations and just a little more breathing space.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed it for all
Mhm.
those same reasons. How long
Mhm.
did you do the morning show in Madison?
Maybe a year and a half before I left. I'm not sure. With Roland.
Mhm.
Yeah, Roland
And,
Barris.
uh-huh.
What a great
And
guy.
yeah, and then I ended up leaving to start my own thing. So
Yeah, so you
was a good
you
jump.
weren't in the broadcast business all that long, but I'm sure it still
No.
had a pretty big impact on kind of the rest of your career in some ways.
Absolutely. So I was there, between all the jobs, about 7 years. So not too much. But then after I left, and when my friend Kelly and I started our own company, just realizing how much so Kelly was the first actually female sports anchor in Green Bay, which is really interesting. So she was there when Brett Favre was like the backup. And so very interesting story. So we both
For
had
those
this.
few months.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she was the first one in the locker room, or the media room, and it was very controversial. But we are very used to chasing people down and trying to get interviews and know how to pitch well, and then understand what makes a good background and what makes, an interesting segment. So when we started our business, a lot of that came into play about how to write effectively, how to write not too much and not, and then also when you do media things, how to speak succinctly and in a way that people care about and then want you back.
How did you meet your business partner?
Oh, tall Kelly, as we got, she's very tall.
Tall Kelly.
How tall is she?
Yeah,
I go by
she's
short Carrie.
yes. She always wears heels, so she's probably 6'3" with heels on. I mean, yeah, it's a lot. In our picture, I'm on a bench or a little stool, not a bench, but the stool.
Well, and you're not short though either.
No,
So,
you're not.
yeah.
Well, I'm just kind of, yeah. So we met in broadcast journalism for grad school, and we were both the two grad students in an undergrad class, an awesome class, communication law. And we were the two who had read all the material because we were grad students, I think. And I didn't know anybody, so I had nothing else to do. I did every single piece of homework. And so we were the two who would ask every question in the class. It was between the two of us, and she kind of sat behind me. And so there was a fire alarm one day, and we ended up in the hallway together and realized, oh, you're the one who asked the questions, and you're the other one who asked the questions. And we both liked playing cribbage.
Oh,
and that was that. Yeah. I love
That's the only thing I know how to play.
You were the two that all of the other kids in the classroom gave the stink eye to whenever you asked questions.
Yes.
Like, oh, jeez.
Pretty much.
Actually, they probably learned a lot thanks to your question.
They probably did.
On
They're
their
probably like, thank God he didn't call on me, because she'll take care of it, you know? Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Right. So tell people about your business. I mean, I remember when you first started it up because your husband at the time had a business in the same building where we had our production business.
That's right.
And, right. He had
and you ended up using his office. Didn't you break through the wall and then create?
We did. After he moved out and went on to bigger and better places, we went, hey, there's space there.
Yeah. It would be funny if he broke through the wall when he was there.
I was going to
say, hey. So
that brings up that movie Horrible Bosses to me.
Oh my God. So when I was at the station, I was also working at American Girl magazine.
I remember that.
That's right.
I know, RIP, they're now fully closing down in Middleton. But and so I really love the balance of those long-term creative projects. And then I really loved the news, the immediate, learning everything quickly, all the fast writing, the teamwork, all of that. And I felt like what I really gravitated toward was the longer term creative projects. And so Kelly and I quit our jobs. I'd written a book for American Girl during kind of that time after my contract at the station ended. And then I had little baby Isaac, and I realized, oh boy, there are no places I can go that he likes and I like. I'm not going to go to Chuck E. Cheese every week. And I even took, to have coffee or whatever. Not him have coffee, but even like
loves coffee.
Yeah, Panera Bread. Yeah, he's been going. So even at like Panera Bread, I brought the two very active boys, and I think they have a good kids meal and good healthy food. But I remember Isaac taking the salt shaker, the top off, and pouring it everywhere for snow for Thomas the Tank Engine. And then Benny, while that's going on, Benny is just jumping off the bench over and over and over. And there were two business meetings going on either side. I was like, I'm sorry. Stop. So
they were probably amused.
Maybe for a good 8 seconds.
Okay.
So we decided, having no food service background, but a lot of branding background and marketing, we wanted to start a cafe chain that appealed to both kids and adults, where you could feel good about what your kids were eating, some good healthy food. And so we just decided we can create the concept, and it's not going to be a high culinary thing, but it's just going to be fun and playful. So we started in Middleton, and I worked every shift and learned everything, and the back of the house and working the line and the front of the house and doing payroll and all these things I'd never done before. And then
that's the way it should be though, right? You should come up and learn everything.
I think so. Yeah. And my kids were, then we started, how do we fill in this quiet time? So we started doing cooking classes, and my kids were in the cooking class too. And so that was kind of fun to have them as guinea pigs. And then we started getting calls from children's museums and science centers and zoos and places. This was right when Michelle Obama's Let's Move, the Healthy Kids campaign, was just starting. So we were kind of on the front edge of that. And so all these great, amazing experiences at a children's museum and beautiful and creative and engaging. And then you go to the food, it would be like, wah, wah, yeah. And so everyone was looking for something playful, and healthy. And that's what the country was coming on board with. So we started going into these types of places and then realized like storefront, there's no need for it because it's so much money and effort and everything. And this is like, everybody's here, 100% of our demographics there. So we started in Madison, and then we launched in California next. And now we have about 20 locations around the country, including where you are, Carrie. And and we just launched in Children's Health
Museum.
Yeah. And we just launched in children's healthcare. So for the first time, we're doing our kids' menus called Imaginable. So it's just super, super playful. And so we're doing patient meals for kids in the hospital.
What?
That's cool. Yeah.
How did
you just started that?
You
just started doing healthcare. Okay.
Yeah, in the last year. Yeah, we just opened in Orlando, I think 2 weeks ago.
It's such a good idea to be in those places where you already have a captive audience and where it's like you just want to continue. Like if you're in the Children's Museum, you're already interactive, you're learning, and it's like to just keep the theme going with your food is such a good idea.
And no one really pays attention to kiddos either, so sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, but was it hard to crack into that market? Because didn't they already have some kind of food there, or how did you like get your way into all these places?
Well, entrepreneurs, go-getter types as you two are too. So we really just listened a lot to what they wanted. And in the beginning, we were really flexible with our menu, because they would tell you all the things that they had that they didn't want. And you say, okay, we can create a lot of these solutions. And we have another place in town. So we started the Madison Children's Museum. And so you could just, but it was hard, but there was also no other solution. A lot of the big companies don't really spend time on the kids menu because they don't really need to. And then, local caterers if you think there's no one really spending time on kids. So if there's a place that's focused on kids, we're an easy solution,
And so can people franchise a bean? We should tell people I don't even know if we mentioned it's Bean Sprouts. Did you in your
yes.
Bean Sprouts? I think you might have in the in the open, but
this
can
whole
you
time they're like,
that?
What is this called?
What's happening? We don't franchise it just because our business model is a little weird where you need to know the museum owners and then this place and this place. What we do is we license our company. So we basically, in addition to our company-owned locations, we rent the rights to like Aramark, for example, or SSA, and they can use our brand, use our menu, and then we get a royalty from that. So for example, we just opened in the LA Zoo 2 years ago, and Bean Sprouts would never say, we'll run the whole LA Zoo, because no one wants 20 bean sprouts in a zoo. They want their hamburgers and their barbecue and all that kind of stuff. So we're one station at LA Zoo.
Very cool. I did see on your website that there's a place, like if someone's interested in bringing your restaurant to their location, they can like fill out a form and then get in touch with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I looked at your menu online and I noticed you have one item called, what was it? The pesto chango.
Yeah.
And that caught my attention because that's a line from a play I did once. So
pesto chango is?
Really?
No, it was Presto Change.
Well, yes, that's what we were playing on. Yes.
There you go. So of course I was like, hey, that's right out of Sound of Music. Yeah.
Oh,
next time I eat at a Bean Sprouts, that's what I'm going to eat.
I expect you to order it with great dramatic, emphasis.
Pesto Chango. Yeah.
Indeed.
Did your California roots have an influence on this menu? Because it's like when I think back to when we were hanging around in the news, you definitely brought your California vibe. Like you were very active and outdoors. And I remember one time you and I rollerbladed all the way around Lake Monona. Do you remember?
Did we really?
I was bringing your surfboard into the station.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, we went all the way around.
Oh my gosh.
I know, that was fun. Probably singing show tunes as we went.
I don't know how much the California, it's definitely when I come back to California, the trends are a little ahead of Wisconsin. So I can see some things that come, the way to the Midwest. A little faster now with social media for sure.
Mhm.
No, I think, I think really it has to do with the cities and how accepting they are or wanting of, kind of out of the box ideas. Is there, an art scene? Is there I think university towns are great, you're a
Mhm.
little more open to
Yeah.
healthier eating and things like that. But
Yeah, and health conscious eating has come a
Mhm.
long way in the last 20
Totally.
years, but it was like kind of hard to find. Like
Yeah.
when you
But
started, I think of California food as like back then, like so
yeah,
fresh and so different. And oh,
yeah.
they eat avocados over there,
Totally. Yeah. But
Yeah.
even when we started Bean Sprouts, there was like no compostable plates, things like that, no gluten-free anything, that we
Right.
could buy at a big
Oh,
level.
sorry, I did not put on my do not disturb. That's my daughter.
Oh, let's loop
For
her
me.
in.
No, let's not.
I would love
Really?
to hear what it's like with girls. Yes.
Well, she's
Yeah,
old
that's
and
right. You have
married now.
boys.
Yeah.
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 How old is she? Is she the one who just got married?
Yeah, she's the one who just got married.
That blew me away when I saw your post.
I know. And she's still calling, even though I put on do not disturb. She's relentless, that one. That's why she's
Although
doing
you're
well.
very busy. You're very
I
busy.
know.
Well,
Yeah.
at least, daughters call, sons
They
don't.
sure do. Actually, mine
Oh,
called me today too, just out of the blue. I'm like, "Are you calling because you need something?"
Yeah.
Usually,
What's wrong? Do you need money?
something. Yeah, like, "Is everything okay?" And he was like,
yeah.
"I just got done with practice." I was like,
Oh,
"My gosh."
Isaac called me yesterday because I'm in Southern California right now, and this is where he goes to school. And he said, "Hey, Mom, would you like to go to Costco with me?" Like, oh, so you're basically
Would
asking
you
me to
buy
buy
me
you Costco. Yes.
Costco?
But thank you for
But you
phrasing
never
it.
say no to an opportunity to do something with your
No,
kids,
That's
even
correct.
if it is to buy them things, right?
I know.
Mhm. Now,
There's a
how old are
lot.
your kids now?
20 and 18.
Wow.
I know.
I still think of them as just little.
Little bitties.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
That's
think
So
when I saw you once I think it was at your condo that you and Aaron had bought, and we were with Kit, Carrie.
Oh,
Yes. And maybe you were pregnant. It just seems like yesterday,
I know.
Dan, all your kids?
our kids are
Yeah.
grown up. Yeah.
And he's a
We
grandpa.
have, I'm a
What?
grandpa twice now. I
Oh
know.
no. What do you
Yeah.
go by? Do you go by grandpa?
Grandpa. Yeah.
Okay.
Although our oldest granddaughter is 2 and she can't really say grandpa. So she calls me and her other grandpa Papa.
Oh, I
So
like
Oh.
that.
Papa's easier. Yeah.
Yeah. My dad went by grand dude. That was his
Grand dude.
I
That's
grand
way
dude.
too
that.
cool for me.
I'm
Way
gonna
too
remember
cool for
that
me.
for my
Yeah.
husband when that
Yeah.
day comes.
Grand dude.
Grand dude.
Yeah.
Grand
He lived
dude.
it up.
No, it's cool. It's pretty cool.
That is.
So are your two kids then? Are they in school? Are they in work? What are they doing now?
Isaac is playing volleyball and he's in school in Southern California.
Ooh.
And Binny is taking a very non-traditional route. That is a whole other podcast. But and so he is finding his way.
Well,
Yeah.
good.
He's trying to
As
figure out.
kids do, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I remember we kind of bonded early on. You had come from, didn't you sing and dance at Disneyland
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
something? And I had been at Fiesta Texas in San Antonio.
That's
So
right.
we had the theme.
And I sing and dance in my shower.
So we all had that going.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we bonded early over that, but you have really continued in the Madison theater community. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, I mean, aren't you so passionate about it? Is it like your
Yes.
happy place? I don't know.
Uh-huh.
It's for me,
Yes.
I don't know about you. I couldn't do anything at the station because if there was any breaking news and I was working day, you'd have to leave on a Friday night, right? If there's something happening. So that was on pause for quite some time. And I'd been performing since I was little, about the age of 9, I think is when I did my first show. So when I left, I tried out for a show in the San Francisco area, and then we flew out and I did that show
Ooh.
2002, I guess, 2003. And that's when I used to be blonde, Patty
Mm.
Shine, shined me up all, and it's an atrocious picture. I have a picture of me on my phone anchoring, and it's like, it's
Please
hardcore.
send it to me. Yeah, we'll put it on
Oh,
the YouTube version.
oh
Everybody
boy,
needs to know
it's
Patty
rough.
Shine worked for a consulting company called Magid, and she was like the image consultant for
Yeah.
the on-air people. So if people didn't know that, now they know that. And
Right.
yeah, I have a pretty bad picture of that when I was shined up once too. So
Yeah,
I
he
was
would
like,
consult on hair and dress,
yes.
make a
And
shop
necklaces, you'd have to bring your necklaces, what
Mhm.
went with what.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one time, and I was not like a lister at the station at all. I was kind of like, if you have time, here's Shannon, you know? And so he looked at me
same.
and said, you need bangs. And I was like, oh, okay. So I go and I get bangs, and they're like, you know, there's nothing about me that should have bangs. And the next time she's like, what happened to your, basically your head? It's like, I don't know. She's like, no bangs. I'm like, no bangs. But all that to say, so after I left, did a show out in San Francisco area, and then just remembered like the essence of who I was, right? And just and it was ragtime, and it was with the guy who um originated
Great
Genie
show.
on Broadway. Yeah, so
Oh
James
my
Monroe Igle. So it was just such a great story to tell. And I remember looking at that light in the back at the, you know, at the very end of the show, and you're singing. It's like, I cannot be happier than I am now. You know, there's nothing I can do. I mean, I love my kids, I love my husband, blah, blah, blah. That is it for me, you know. So came back to Madison, did a few shows. And then when the kids were little, my bucket list was to go do Les Mis at the same San Francisco area theater. So I commuted from Madison, I know, during the
I didn't
polar
know that.
vortex. Yes.
Wow.
So Roger, I'd be like, it's a great day. It's 72, you know, and he's like, it's negative 60 and the kids are home again. You know?
But it's the Midwest, so he was happy to be here.
Yeah. So it's just, you know, it's just my happy place. And it's been fun to like build new friendships and meet new people, and just, I don't know.
So were you getting paid were you paid for that? Was that like
not for
professional?
that.
Not
No,
for
but
that,
in
no.
Madison, the theater
Yeah.
company I'm working with now, I do.
Yeah.
But both of my parents died in 2020. I don't know if
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, and they both died in my arms, and it was pretty rough. Yeah, my mom during COVID, she didn't have COVID, but she was diagnosed with lung cancer. I flew out the next day,
no.
and 5 weeks later, she like died in my arms. And because it was COVID, there was nobody was working. It was May of 2020, so
Gosh.
lockdown was heavy, right? So
Yeah.
nobody could come take her from the house. So I was just alone with her for hours. It was very traumatic. And then 10 weeks later, my dad died. That was much more expected, but also I just happened to be in California for the weekend. And so after that, I was like, you know, life is so short. We just got to do what we got to do, you know, like, what am I waiting
Yes.
for? Kids are out of the
Right.
house. I mean, so I don't care what level of theater I do. I just want to tell stories and like sing, you know.
Yeah,
Maybe
What's the
tap
last
dance.
show you did
started a
then?
band, yeah.
I just did a cabaret a couple weeks ago with Capital City Theater that were all the songs of Barry Manilow. It was a 3-woman cabaret show. And that was super fun. Yeah.
I saw that advertised.
Yeah.
That was probably awesome.
Yeah. So that was
Well, the last show I saw you in was Mamma Mia, and I think that was in Middleton, and it was fantastic.
in Verona. Yeah.
Was it Verona or
It was
Middleton? Oh, it
Verona.
was Verona. You're right.
Yep.
Sorry. One of those outlying areas.
And Dan, you just did, was it okay, you've done a few recently.
Yeah, I did
Odd
The Sound of
Couple?
Music in Sun Prairie, and then I did Barefoot in the Park in Sun Prairie,
Oh my
and now
gosh.
I'm doing Showdown in Stoughton. It's a 50th anniversary show, so it's fun.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, it's kind of a variety show.
I think
Yep.
that you should give us a little sample.
Yes.
And because we recorded this end or mid-March, and we'll be airing
Yeah.
it early April, so it'll be over, right?
It's
But
all over. Yeah, it'll be over this weekend.
we'd love a little another sample, please.
No, I did that. I can't
I
do that
know, but
again.
I like it so much.
This is
I got my
Shannon's
dancing
moment.
arms
Shannon,
ready.
what do you got
That's all
for us?
right. No. Oh my gosh.
Maybe
And did
What's
you,
next for you then? Oh, I'm sorry.
oh no, so in that spirit, when I turned 50, I wrote a bucket list of all the shows I wanted to do. And
Yeah.
in my ideal world, right, and the roles I want to play and the song, those songs I want to sing. So I just got cast in The Prom, which is a fun one. And so I'm moving to Allentown, Pennsylvania for a couple months, starting next week.
Do as the brave and bossy do, and if they tear you apart, as for Woodcock Bossy do, he'd make the people have a stiff ball change of heart. Ball change! And if folks say you can win, well, we'll stop them in a hurry.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that'll run, and then working in Middleton for Middleton Players Theater. They're
Yeah. What show they're doing? So you did those auditions. What are you going to be in for them then?
Big Fish.
Oh,
Big-
that's a great
yeah,
show.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that'd be awesome.
What
So
about
how did you get
two?
hooked up with
Oh.
how did you get hooked up with Allentown then?
This is okay. I have a very strange life. Like I'm just like, so I can work from anywhere. So I go all, and I have so many miles from working. So I have been going to New York probably every 6 weeks, and I take voice from a coach there, and I take dance there. Carrie, you would love it. Broadway Dance Center, shout out. And then I go to Open Jar Studios and just do a bunch of audition recordings. So they have a self-tape studio there. And so I spent a couple hours. So I just started blasting out. That was my New Year's resolution, to just start sending out auditions. And so,
Awesome.
yeah.
It is awesome. That's
Yeah.
inspiring, because I mean, now you're really seizing the empty nester days, aren't you?
Oh yeah. I wasn't sad at all.
Me neither.
You weren't either?
No, I was like, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I was like, we like each other still.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I had my grieving moment, but then I was like, let's go, and that's why we started this podcast.
Yes. And the
a
band. Oh my
business
gosh.
coming later this year. Stay tuned. But
Oh my gosh.
this
And
is
wait, your band, what kind of music do you play, and where do you?
it's a duo. We're a female
Oh,
duo.
Oh, I love it.
We're just starting
Like
to
Simon and Garfunkel, only with women.
Yes. Fabulous.
Well, we love harmonies, like Indigo Girls style,
Yes.
these kind of things. So every song is full of harmony, and we're like, you
cool.
sing lead on this one, I'll sing lead on this one. And she's a guitar teacher. She's got an album
Oh,
on
awesome.
iTunes, and I play a baritone ukulele, and we might have
Ooh.
some piano going on, but we'll see. Stay tuned on that. But
That's
kind of
cool.
same idea, that it's like, this is our time. Why wait? Let's not wait any longer.
Totally.
Let's
Yeah.
dream. Yeah.
I know.
Well, you should exchange information with Shannon, and she can get you hooked up with those auditions and things up in New York.
Yeah, it's really. Well, I'm
What if-
wondering now, I'm going to have to look it up, and I'll probably just be spewing nonsense per usual right now. But that Open Jar Studio, I have this weird feeling my friend Jeff Whiting is involved with that. Does that name ring a bell or anything to you?
I just discovered this. Well, I didn't discover it. My voice teacher told me about it, but it's basically like 20 different studios, and some are small, where you could just take piano or go practice your cello or whatever,
Mhm.
or voice. And then they have large studios. So say you wanted to make a workout video and you needed a big studio, you could rent that, shoot all your things. Or if you're like, I'm going to teach a dance workshop, you could do that. It's also where they have a lot of auditions. So Shrek Tour was there the last time I was there, or Disney was casting some TV show in their New York auditions there. So
Very cool.
it's cool. And they have just, everyone's just kind of hanging out like on their computers and doing their thing. Some stage parents, but not too many.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I
So do
like
you
that
get
kind of
do you get nervous still for auditions, or is it pretty normal for you now?
I get really, 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 really nervous to the point
That's good to hear. That's
it's
good to hear.
debilitating. I
It's
saw a
hard.
hypnotist, and which I don't think it worked, but it was interesting to go and see.
Mhm.
And also I think I'd seen too many and done too many like crime stories. So I like would position things on my lap, and then I'd be like, when I wake up, this needs to be exactly how I left it, or else I know you messed with me, you know?
Oh
And
my
so, yeah,
God.
and it was fine. It was,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that didn't really work. So I just started taking beta blockers.
Oh,
Have you ever taken one of those? I mean, they're legal.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't, but I've heard of
No,
people who do that. Yeah.
life changer. Life
Really?
changer.
And what does it do for you?
So it basically, so I've taken them for 2 auditions now, and it basically takes it's not an upper or a downer or anything like that. It just erases any symptoms of anxiety. So my heart doesn't race
Hmm.
and I don't shake. My voice doesn't tighten. So you're really able to feel like yourself, and then focus on singing, you know, telling the story, whatever it is, without like, I got to calm myself down. I got to breathe. I got like, which is what your internal dialogue can do when you get that nervous, or like, I'm going to mess up this note, you know, it's just
Right.
your whole body's just kind of at a normal level.
Did you
Like
get
right
nervous?
now,
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Did you get nervous like before a broadcast, or is it purely like stage stuff that would bring that on for you?
I I would get kind of amped, but not, you know, not the same. I think it's the singing and concern I'm going to forget the words when there's clearly a rhythm you're supposed to hit. I think that's like what it comes down to. And
Mm-hmm.
even triggers like walking in and sitting and listening to other people, that
Yeah.
would like get me worked up, or like um walking in the room saying hi, not a problem at all, but then the second the music started, like, God, you know, my palms would sweat.
Yeah.
So a lot of those, it's now like I sit and I listen to them and I just tell myself, everyone's here. Just, you get a free performance from all these singers who are really excited and very talented, you know, and I just try to like change my mindset and not worry so much about calming myself down.
Mm-hmm. And do you
Yeah,
find
kind of
that since
enjoy the
COVID,
moment.
Yeah.
so many auditions are recorded? Is that the case for theater? I mean, when I do more like commercials, industrial stuff,
Uh-huh.
voiceovers, but it's like we record everything from home now. And that started
Mm-hmm.
during COVID. We'd have to go downtown,
Mm-hmm.
wait our turn, go do the thing, and then send it.
Yeah.
Is that the
Yeah.
way it is in theater at all? Do you record stuff or you do everything live?
Both, I think. Dan, I don't know if you've had the same. I've so for a lot of the regional auditions I've done lately, it's send in a video, and if we call you back, then you come to New York or Chicago or, you know, Orlando or whatever it is.
Oh,
Um, or some are just, we'll do a video audition and then a video callback, or we're not taking any videos. Like everyone's kind of different, but they're definitely much more open to seeing a video if you can't come, instead of thinking that's a personal, like, you're too good to not, you know, not show up.
Hmm. Well, I like to tell people I know my limits as an actor, and it's 20 miles around Sun Prairie. So I've never done any regional things or anything like
Yeah.
that. So but I do know from having done some voiceover and some on camera, like with Carrie, a lot of it has been recorded now
Hmm.
as well. And you know, I also, I mean, I think all of us probably get nervous. It's in front of people, especially in those cattle call type of auditions where
Yeah.
like everybody's in there. That's a little more nerve-wracking, I think. But I don't like it for video, like say a walk and talk spokesman type
Oh, yeah.
video audition. I'd rather have the camera person there and talking to
Hmm.
them, and
Hmm.
because it's less to think about.
Yeah.
They're handling that, and you can just do your
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But
mhm.
That's
but
interesting.
I like your philosophy on that though, kind of just enjoying the moment when you're in an audition. I've listened to a lot of different people. Like Michael Keaton always had a great one that I've heard many, many times just because it continues to come up on social media a lot. It's
Hmm.
like he said he used to get really nervous about auditions. And then he started approaching the audition like, you've already got the job. You're going to
Oh.
go in there, and the job, it's your job, and I'm just going to go in there and go to work. So he would
Oh.
just go to work. And
Oh,
so
that's
every
a
time
good
he's at an
one.
audition, I'm
Yeah.
working.
Huh.
So, I mean, it's kind of a good way to look at it, I think.
Hmm.
But, you hear so many people have different
Right.
techniques. So,
And I also do much better if I'm trying out on a stage and the people are far away. But I'm sure you've
yep.
had it, both of you, where you're like here, and then the person's 4 feet in front of you, and you're like, well, that I don't normally sing this loud if you're, you know, right there. So that's kind
Right.
of
Yeah.
awkward, you know, and where do you look? And
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah.
a whole weird, like, I think the other thing I'm thankful for at this age is I'm not in my 20s. I'm not competing with every other 20-year-old. You know what I mean? Like you go and you're like, oh my gosh, everyone wants to be Belle, and you're like, I don't
Yeah.
want to,
I'll be Belle's mom
Yeah.
or even aunt or grandma. Yeah.
Exactly, 1,000,000%. So I just feel like, and then also I always feel, I walk in, I think I also feel very fortunate that I have my own job. Like sometimes I'm at auditions reading contracts, or finishing a
Yeah.
presentation. And I just think I feel lucky my livelihood doesn't depend
Mhm.
on this at this, and so I'm just gonna do my best, and at least I'll sing the song I like. And
Mhm.
but then there was one time when my goal was to try out just for the year. Was like I was getting back in it. My goal was to do 3 auditions for the year. And so I walked in and she said, how are you doing? And I said, I am fantastic. And even if I throw up while I'm singing, like I have completed my goal. She's like, oh, great, good, go ahead. Yeah.
Please don't throw up on me.
Too much? Yeah.
And here's a bucket, just in
Yeah. Too much.
So you can manage the bean sprouts world from wherever you are.
Right. We're all remote. So all the executive team. So we all work from home.
And how
It's
many
great.
of you are on the executive team?
Um, in the immediate, there are 4, and then like kind of that next team, there are about 9 of us. And then our team, I want to say we have 150 employees, maybe.
That's
I
awesome.
know,
Wow.
including my son, which is crazy.
Hey.
I know. It's about time, people.
So do you have to travel to some of the locations? I remember you used to travel quite a bit. Do you still travel?
I used to, I don't as much.
Okay.
We have a great COO who is from American Girl, and she opened all the cafes for American Girl. So she's
Mhm.
just top notch. And so
That's
her operations team, now that we're big enough to have an operations team, they do that. So before I was doing that, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, I go and like, oh, the waste and the, I don't know. I was much more of like, how does it look? Does this fit the experience,
Mhm.
customer
Right.
experience, the brand, that kind of thing.
And
You're the
you've
big
had,
picture.
Yeah.
and you've had ton of media exposure. I was running down the extremely long list on your website, everything from TV, and you were on Good Morning America, and that's where
Yeah.
your TV experience comes
Yeah.
through, that you can comfortably be doing that. And then you even have a
Mhm.
nice little explanation video of what your business is with
Mhm.
Kelly, your partner.
Yep.
And I
Call
was
Kelly.
I wonder if Shannon edited all that
Oh
herself,
yeah, indeed
because
I
I'm like,
did.
you've got the
In-
skills.
Indeed I did. So much easier now, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Good Morning America. And then when they have the makeup people, and that's when Isaac was little and Benny, they were both little. And she said, now how do you want to look? He said, I just do not want to look exhausted. What can you do? Just please, And she did something that was amazing.
She said,
Yeah.
here, take these beta blockers.
Exactly.
Did you
Yeah.
stare right into her eyes just to disarm her as she was putting her makeup on? Just
Oh, gosh.
stare blankly into her
Yeah.
eyes.
Thank you. So no, that's where it's all kind of tied together, and it's fun to see how different parts of your life, how you can connect the dots, when you didn't really expect that.
Yeah.
And even like right now, we just had a call for the Orlando, the children's hospital we're working with in Orlando. Ryan Seacrest has Ryan Seacrest Studios. So we're going out to shoot 4 episodes of a cooking segment. It's like, this is just
Very cool.
fun,
It is. And
It
you have
works
a
out.
cookbook out as well for the restaurant.
Yes, it's called Bean Sprouts Kitchen. That one is a fun one. And if Dan, I should send you one for your Papa
Yes.
days.
Children.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Send me if you don't mind sending me your address, I'll shoot it out.
Oh, I
to you.
will. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not a big secret. I won't put it on air here.
Okay, okay.
Or on this podcast.
Can you? Yeah, I'll read it
We'll
through
put
the
up a
chat.
graphic.
Yeah.
A graphic. Oh
Don't
my
worry,
God.
nobody would
That's-
bother me anyway. But no, I'd love it.
Oh,
Yeah, and that was
absolutely.
a great idea too, because it's recipes from your restaurant, right?
Mhm, yep.
And some of the other creations you've come up with. And your
Yep.
kids back when they were little were taste testers, right?
They were taste testers,
Mhm.
and so were their friends. So I was a very popular playgroup place, because I'd say like, we need to try all these different kinds of cookies or all these different kinds of, grilled cheese sandwiches or whatever it was. And they were always there. They've all been good about giving honest feedback. And it's fun to have them involved. Although once Benny, I remember, used it against me. He's like, he asked me for $5 for something once. And I was like, what? Don't you have your own? I've been a taste tester for you and a model on your website, and you can't give me $5. It's like, geez, okay.
And then you pulled up I gave you a bed and food for 18 years of your life.
Yeah.
You earned your keep around here.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, it's been
Hey, Shannon, I always ask people like their first, their worst, and the job they still thirst for. Your first TV job obviously was KOW, right? That was, but
yes,
what was your
like
first? What was your first kind of like, I'm getting money for this job?
Ooh, I would play piano at parties. That was one that was in high school where I grew up. There, for some reason, our neighborhood always needed piano players and singers for parties. So that was kind of odd, but fun.
What kind of music did you play?
Just there was the old Reader's Digest like songbook, so I would just
I have them on my piano.
Yeah, the green one, and then there was like some show tunes, and then I mean it was there was no rhyme or reason, and nobody really listened to me. I think they probably thought I was like a guest kid and just playing,
background.
Daughter.
Yeah, yeah.
How about your worst job? Do you have a worst job?
Yeah, I really do. It was I was the summer after my freshman year of college. I was a telemarketer, and when I say was,
tough job.
Yeah, we got paid $5 an hour, I want to say, and then a bonus if you closed anything. But then I did one day of calls, and one of the people I called was in Sacramento, and she was an investigative reporter who then told me that she had done a story on the company I was calling for, and then I was too scared to keep going. So for weeks, I would dial, because you didn't have to dial area codes at that time. I would dial 6 of the 7 numbers and do monologues every day to pretend I was selling them for hours. Yes. God. And I probably made a good like $35 the whole summer.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like the job you're still thirsting for is some great role on Broadway.
Oh, Come From Away. That would not even Broadway, just something,
Yeah.
Somewhere, something. That would
What
be
a wonderful show that is.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you guys at the station on September 11th? Were you?
No,
I was gone already.
She was 6 months. 6
Oh
months.
my goodness.
That I had just gotten out of the business probably about maybe a little less than a year before that, and went to work that day. And everybody, of course, is glued to the TVs, and that was that was a day where you really were like, "Gosh, I wish I still worked in the news business," because you're right in the middle of everything, and you saw everything, and it was going on. And not that I mean, it was terrible, obviously, but it was just one of those days you couldn't stop watching, obviously. Yeah.
I remember I was on my way to the morning meeting. So I left my house at probably 9, and I live near the airport. And so I called in and said, I'm just going to swing by the airport and see if anything's happening. And then I was there doing live shots the rest of the day, until the 10 o'clock. So
I think I recall that too. I remember watching those.
Yeah. And then also just like you were saying, you got to see everything, but you also didn't absorb anything until much later. Like, I feel like, and maybe that's how most of America was, but I also felt like you were just on the go and trying to help everybody understand, but you didn't really like take into account what was going on or how you were feeling about it, going to bed with all your clothes on and waking up and just going in,
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
a
that
lot
was
of crises, or if someone's ill,
right.
You just get through the moment, and then when the downtime comes, it's like
whoa, yeah,
process all of that.
This is intense all of a
But
sudden.
then you weren't there much longer than another year after that.
No, yeah, I left in 2002.
2002.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. What a career though since then, Shannon. I mean, holy
wild.
Mackerel, you've really packed a lot in there. And you're still living in the Madison area.
I am.
Like,
yeah.
You're moving somewhere, right?
When I'm not moving. Yeah. Yes. I love it. I love it. It's just, when I came from LA, and I came from O.J. Simpson's neighborhood. That's where I was living right before, in an apartment, not like a mansion.
Yeah,
But
right. Hey, OJ. Yeah.
yeah, hey, we were neighbors. So that was wild. And so I moved to
Mhm.
Madison. I was like, this is beautiful, the lakes, and it's peaceful and it's safe. And, you know, no one's running around trying to figure out if this testimony was true of how fast he could drive from one place to the other. So
Yeah.
I thought I was going to live here for a year, and it's been more than 20 years, and I
Wow.
love it.
Yeah.
Hard to beat. Hard to beat the area. It's a
Wow.
great area to live. And when you go to New York, do you have a place you stay out there, or do you have friends you stay with?
No, I just Priceline a hotel. I usually
Uh-huh.
stay in Times Square, which I'm not a huge fan of Times Square, all the people, but it's right near my, you know, to my
Yep.
voice and dance. So,
Mhm.
but I
Yep.
do have my friends now at like the dance teachers and the baristas and all that. And so I like to pretend that I live there and
Yeah.
just, you know, because I'm like, well, they wouldn't give me a flyer because clearly I'm not like looking like I need a flyer. Yes.
Right. I
But
walk everywhere
yeah, look at
briskly,
me.
just like
Yeah,
everyone else here.
Plus, you're
exactly.
close to Central Park, then you can get up to Central Park and you can run and go for walks and stuff like that.
Yes,
That's awesome up
yes,
there.
It is
exactly. I
It's
love
yeah,
it. I love it. It's beautiful.
very cool.
very cool.
Yes. It's
Well,
so fun to see
I've got
you.
to ask you one question before I
Yeah.
let you go. And my question is always are there any bloopers that you remember from all
Oh,
our station days that still stick with you?
oh boy. Not so much a blooper, but it was Della, I believe goes by DJ now, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the first time my husband, Roger, we had just started dating and we were going to go out. And I said, I'm doing this live shot if you want to come by and see it. Because he was asking me about what do you do, you know? And so there was a house, it was February, so it was cold. There was a house near St. Mary's Hospital that had imploded.
Mm.
This was this was 2000. So the house had imploded, and they didn't know that somebody was digging, some person was digging, dug into a gas line or something, and everything blew. And they didn't know if there were people inside. It turned out there was nobody inside, just the house imploded. And so our news director, Todd, had said, Shannon, I want you to do live shots for the 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock news that night. Great. So it's cold, and Della and I go out there, and I have my, you know, my reporter notebook and all this, and it starts raining. And so we're trying to set up the live truck, but there's no electrical. So we start knocking on doors. Can we use your plug? Can we use your plug? Great. So something happened, and Della had to go under the truck in the mud, crawl belly under the truck to get something with the wire. So they were not pleased. Plug that in. So then we don't have, but the lights are barely working. So Todd asked, can you put the car lights on you okay. So I have the car lights on me. I have this one little light. Nobody can see the house. The house is like black as could be. I have an umbrella, rain, rain, rain. Todd says, you can't use the umbrella. Nobody can see anything. So I have my 27 News with my hood. Nope, your face is too much in the shadows. So now I'm just in the rain, rain at night, in the dark, rain, 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 rain. And then at the very last second, Della, you need the mic on. I mean, maybe 15 minutes to go, mic. And then I realized I'm standing in a puddle being slowly electrocuted because I could feel my fingers buzzing and I couldn't move my fingers. Plus the papers were wet. So I'm trying to like electrocuted finger buzzer. Yeah. And I just remember. And so, you know, of course, then it's like 3, 2, 1. You're like, here we are, you know, boom, 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 boom. And Roger just, it's like, I couldn't take it. That was too much. Like the electrocution and the mud and then the rain, air, too much.
It was just shocking to him.
Yeah. Well played. Well played. Yes.
I was slowly electrocuted on air as well.
You were?
Yes. I remember that.
Yeah.
What? Was there a flood story?
No.
It was your mic, wasn't it?
No, I was running the teleprompter as we did in the morning, and I didn't know. And it's like all of a sudden, you know, talk about, you know, how our bodies react to nerves. I thought for some reason, for the first time ever, I was having a panic attack on air.
Oh, no.
Which I have never had. I mean, nothing was like happening. We're telling, you know, delivering news that had been It's not like it was
Yeah.
fresh. We've been telling it all morning. And I'm, it's a cut in. I do my thing. All of a sudden I feel my heart rate racing and my voice is kind of doing weird things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I so nervous? I have done this a lot. But I was, my hand was on the teleprompter and I think it was Steve Rohr saying in my ear, "Are you okay?"
Oh
In
no.
my ear. And I was like, I don't know. So we went to commercial. All of a sudden, the engineers realized that the station had taken a power surge. It was just, but it's like, it wasn't like a zzz, it was just a slow, like a
Yeah,
slow
a slow
burn, like
burn.
you said,
Yeah,
where my
same.
innards just started reacting. So I just
Oh,
had to cut in and I mean, it was fine, but it was really strange.
oh boy. Dan, what's your electrocution
Are
story?
you electrocuted?
I have never been electrocuted on air. So
No.
I have been
Okay.
electrocuted by my lawnmower at one time.
Oh
So
Oh,
my.
I
ugh.
reached down and grabbed a spark plug, and boy, that shot right through me.
Oh,
That
Oh
was no
yeah.
good.
no.
So I want to ask you this, Shannon, too, before we let you go, since we're on the most embarrassing moments. How about on
Mm.
stage? Any most embarrassing moment on
Oh, well, yes,
stage?
of course.
Mhm.
I mean,
The
I've had many, so
Yeah,
but maybe you
probably
have
the
one that
most,
sticks out.
yeah, it's not so much embarrassing, it's just like one of those stage, like everything falls apart, but it was kind of awesome now that you look back at it. There was a
Yeah.
play called Play On, and it was about a community theater putting on a play. It
Mhm.
was a
Yep.
comedy, and it was in high school, right? So we didn't have anything. We and so my job was the stage manager. I wasn't I was the stage
Mhm.
manager in the play.
Play.
And so I'm supposed to go out and say, open the curtain. And so I say, open the curtain. And the curtain doesn't open. Well, the curtain's supposed to open right away. Nothing happened. So I thought, well, maybe they didn't hear me. So I say it again. And I say it again. And then I realize we're only 10 seconds into the show. And like, I'm about to start improvising. Like, I don't know what's about to happen. So the other actor says, "I'm trying, but the curtain is not opening." And so I said, okay. So I go back there. We're both yanking on the curtain. All of the screws come out of the ceiling, and the entire curtain
My.
falls to about eye level. And so both of us are just looking out at the audience like, yeah. So I called
People probably
everybody
thought it
on
was part
stage.
of the show.
They did. And I called everyone on stage, and we're just ad-libbing. Somebody had like a Swiss Army knife. So we cut the rope. I rolled up like a little pig in a blanket, and I stood on the side, rolled up in the curtain the entire play. And then I'd unroll, and then I'd roll back up and just do my lines like a little hot dog.
Oh my
That's
God.
what I remember.
That's
a
a
wiener
true
wrap.
professional right there, even though you're
But I
just
mean,
cool.
yeah. But I just think I would love to see a video of that, you know?
Oh, don't you wish?
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I'm sure
Well, we should ask you one other thing too about now there would be video of that because of social media and
yeah.
everything and phones. But
Uh-huh.
how did social media, like, you kind of had to evolve your business, the business
Mm-hmm.
with social media? You
Mm-hmm.
probably kind of hit it right at the start of all of that, didn't you?
Yeah, we're a small team, and because of our partnerships, so we really realized what we bring as the brand, we don't need to bring an audience because they're the ones with the audience. So whether it's
Ah,
the Bay Area Discovery Museum, we're not going to be the place where people go. They're going to go to their social media. So we provide content. It
Mhm.
really takes the
mhm.
pressure off, because just creating content and having things for people to post and then trying to grow to whatever it's the new number to be significant is
Right.
very difficult, and
Yeah,
so we kind of pretty much skip it,
Ah, nice.
which
Yeah,
is nice.
it
Yeah,
that sounds ideal. Yeah,
It
I
does.
know.
good for you.
Yeah.
Seriously. Well,
But
we're
not
so
my kids.
happy to hear about all of your success, and this has been an absolute
And you too. I've
If you
loved
come to-
hearing
oh,
and seeing all the people on your podcast, just like Todd Baskey, oh my gosh.
it has been
They're
really, really fun. And so
Absolutely.
interesting to hear all of the stories. I mean, your story is so different from the rest of the team that we worked with. So it's
Mhm.
been really varied and kind of an unexpected. We knew it would be fun, but I mean, we've learned so much and had a great
Yeah,
time along the way.
Thanks for having. I
and
feel
many
like
more
we
to
should,
come too.
awesome.
And
Feel
if
like we
you come
should
to
sing
visit-
a 3-part
yes.
song
It
now.
won't work. Zoom doesn't let you do that.
Well,
Oh,
apparently there's a new app that Isaac told me about in case TikTok goes away
Hmm.
called Acapella that we could explore.
Ah,
Ooh,
Yeah.
do.
The kids,
get on
the
that.
kids are
Get on
doing
that, Carrie.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do it, Shannon.
Your fans are demanding it, being
Yeah,
me.
I think you're right. All right, stay tuned, audience, because
All
we'll be
right.
bringing you some 3-part harmony of something.
Absolutely.
This
All right,
has
friends.
been Old News with Dan and Carrie and Shannon Seip.
Yeah,
Thanks, Shannon.
Thanks, everyone.
thank you.
It's good to see you.
Thanks for tuning in to Old News with Dan and Carrie.
That's old news for now.
Join us next time.